set today for a initial permanency hearing, and the court will recognize that the department is present, represented by Mr. Mike Knight and joined by Ms. Taylor Jones and Ms. Maria Fernandez. We are working on getting Ms. Rita Morales on the call. Ms. Morales is the attorney for the respondent mother, Angelica Calderon. I don't see Ms. Calderon on the call unless she's there with Mr. Izaguirre. Is she present with you, sir? Okay. Okay, there she is. All right, so Ms. Calderon is present. Mr. Michael George is here. He's the attorney for Arnoldo Izaguirre, and Mr. Izaguirre is present. And then in addition, we have with us Mr. Ruben Tiarina. Mr. Tiarina is the attorney ad litem for Luciano. And then we also have with us Ms. Ann Showalter, who's the guardian ad litem with CASA of B County. And we also have Mr. and Ms. Buscone, the foster parents there with Luciano himself, dressed for court and looking precious as ever. So excited to see. And I'm not sure, Ms. Calderon, were you able to see Luciano's court outfit? All right, after he's done, I don't want to interrupt the feeding, but when you have a chance, we'll check him after he's finished his bottle. But he looks pretty cute, I'm not going to lie. So let's go ahead and get started, if we can, with getting an update on how things are going with everyone in the case. Ms. Jones, I expect to hear from you first, so let's go ahead and get you sworn in. If you'll raise your right hand, do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jones, I appreciate it. Mr. Knight, you may proceed.
Thank you, Honor. Ms. Jones, you have the floor. Update us on how everything's going.
I'll start with the parents. Mom, she has not been working her classes since, I want to say, since the end of, I believe her last time going to her counseling for her individual counseling was back in January. And for her drug counseling, she actually had a class last night. She has not drug tested for us in the last 2 months. The last drug test that I have on file for her was from January. She has missed a number of parent-child visits. So those are not consistent. And I did provide her the contact information to go to rehab. And I do not believe that Ms. Calderon has called to get that scheduled. Oh, sorry. And then I'll just go on to Dad. He is working his classes. He's doing his individual counseling with his drug counseling. He has been going to drug test, but he had missed last week's drug test. I have not been able to have a hair follicle on him due to him cutting his hair. So I have not had a hair follicle this whole case. And he has also missed quite a few parent-child visits as well.
All right. And what is the department's recommendation today?
Right now, the primary goal is reunification with a concurrent goal of unrelated adoption.
All right. Thank you. Pass the witness.
All right. Let me turn to Mr. George. Mr. George, do you have any questions?
It looks like on Dad's, on the report you filed with the court, it looks like, I guess, one of the things that it looks like, not to steal any thunder out of CASA, but the CASA report was that we needed a little re-emphasis from the court that these classes and participating in the classes and their completion, that is something that's up to the individual parent.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. And so although they take attendance, you know, the report card will know kind of how things are going from the basic reports we receive from you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess one of the key issues for Mr. Izaguirre would be that he at least attempt to grow out a little bit of hair so that they can get some background feed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I think early on in the case, there was a couple of times he tested, and the first time he was, it looks like he was kind of way up the charts on methamphetamine back in December.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And then the next UA was a little less than a month later, and the levels had dramatically dropped.
Yes, sir.
Okay, they weren't zero, but they were probably maybe a 35%, 35 times decrease in what it had been.
Yes, sir.
And then there appears to be a continuing problem of being rejected or canceled because he didn't have any hair that they could acquire from him, a hair sample.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. What about fingernail testing? Do they have that capability at the local lab that you're using?
That has not been court-ordered yet, but there is a lab in Portland, I believe, that does that type of testing.
Okay. And the parents, they are using the lab there in Beeville?
Yes, sir.
So to make it a little bit easier, it'd be on everybody involved, it would be much more beneficial if Dad just let his hair grow out just a wee bit so that it was capable of providing a usable, testable sample.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I think you've discussed that with him on a number of occasions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the visits, where do the visits currently take place?
They take place in Corpus. They are on Tuesdays for 2 hours.
And you use the department's office there on Greenwood?
We use a monitoring service, and I believe it's off of Dillon Lane.
Okay. And that's reasonably easy to get to. So once you get past the Harbor Bridge traffic.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you can avoid that if you come in through the Cal Island area of town.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And has there been it appears that in the report, it looks like there has been a sort of a gradual and increasing change of involvement by Mr. Izagiri?
Yes.
Okay. And he just needs the pump talk to kind of, it's all, and the future of the child is greatly within his grasp.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he get along with you?
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Tijerino.
So at this time, he said the goal is still reunification. Is that for both parents? Are they together? Do you know?
They are not together, but yes, that was staffed last month.
Okay, so 5 months in, what would you say the progress has respectively been to keep a goal of reunification?
With Dad, he is doing the services. It's just a matter of him having the hair follicle and to go to the visitations. And with Mom, her progress has went down this month, little to none. So depending on if she were to start her services and to start drug testing, then it is possible to have the goal stay reunification.
But you mentioned that the parents are not in a relationship right now.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So they're just in a room together right now for fun.
I'm assuming to be on the court hearing.
Okay, yeah, just want to make sure they don't live together.
No, not to my knowledge.
So as for his progress, any medical issues to report to the court since last we were here? How's he coming through okay with all his development milestones?
Yes, so he is gaining weight probably every single week. I want to say he's now right around 11 pounds. He has weekly check-ins with a pediatrician and then the high risk specialist, a neurologist, and a eye doctor. I don't know how to say like the formal word.
Ophthalmologist, optometrist.
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
And so his eyes were the longest thing to develop. And I remember at the beginning, he wasn't opening them right away. Would you say his vision's okay now? Does it seem?
Yes, he's able to look around. He can follow things. He's smiling, he's babbling, he's growing just great.
Now, as for any concerns, like I know Mr. George had mentioned the fingernail testing, do we see a need for potentially having that be court ordered if the issue with Dad's testing hadn't come out in the hair, like we couldn't get enough hair?
For Dad, yes. Mom, I would just need her to go drug test because I do not have a drug test on file since January.
Do they both have their own reliable transportation, or does the department have to assist in these like tests, getting them there?
So Dad has a vehicle. I don't know if it's as reliable. So I have been I'm transporting them to the actual visits. But he seems to be able to use his mom's vehicle to help as well.
I was just asking because you said Portland is probably where the location was. I would think that if that gets court ordered, can the department or somebody assist him to get over there just in case?
Yes, sir.
And as for Dad's status as dad, there's no doubt that he's the dad, right? Like I've gotten very good notes from Costa saying like, well, depending on the day Mom says he is or isn't dad, but is he definitively the dad?
Legally speaking, yes. He did sign off on the birth certificate, but there has not been a test done.
would the department, or would a DNA test ever be needed in this kind of a case? Is there any concern or worry that you have about the paternity?
Dad has not mentioned a concern to me. He has voiced that having a test probably won't change him wanting to get Luciano.
Okay. With that, I pass the witness. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else have questions for Ms. Jones? What you mentioned rehab for Ms. Calderon. Has she completed an assessment and was treatment recommended?
She has not. I did give her the number, but Ms. Calderon has not reached out.
And when you say that, is that to the facility for rehab, or is it the OSAR to be evaluated for the level of service that she needs to get treatment?
That is with the OSAR.
Okay, so that would be a really important service to complete to get an idea of the type of treatment that would be helpful and that would address your concerns about ongoing substance use.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. And so at this time, I just want to make sure what I've heard from you is your actual assessment that as of right now, Ms. Calderon is not in compliance with her plan of service, but that Mr. Izaguirre is in partial compliance.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Ms. Jones from any party? Let me, Ms. Calderon and Mr. Izaguirre, I'll give you a minute. I just want to ask the attorneys if they have questions for Ms. Jones. I'll let you address the court momentarily. All right. No? All right. Mr. Knight, do you have any other witnesses to call?
No, Your Honor. Department
Okay.
of Justice.
Mr. George, do you have witnesses to call?
Yes, briefly, just like to call the father, Your Honor. Okay,
Alright.
you understand that we're not picking on you this afternoon.
Yes,
Okay, we're just coming up with areas that need some improvement. It looks like your hair is growing out. Are you going to be able to let it? Yes, you
Yeah.
have.
it actually was longer when it got tested. I cut it the day of. It's been tested 4 times, and I don't come into the day after they check my hair, and they
Okay.
took quite a few.
Can you, the type of work that you're involved in, are you able to let it grow just a little bit longer?
Yes,
Okay.
Yep.
And the lab that you would be using would be much closer than if the department had to, under court order by the judge, have you signed up to have fingernail testing done. So in other words, it makes it easier on you to, if you use the local lab to have your hair tested, than to go all the way to Portland to have your fingernails tested.
but I've gotten a hair follicle and urinalysis at the same time every time I go in.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and-
The next thing would be the visits. There's such the key thing about the visit is, well, it's two-pronged. One is it inconveniences people if you don't confirm, you know, like, I know that you have a job and sometimes you get called in and just can't get off,
yes, sir.
but just a simple phone call from your behalf would definitely make things a lot easier on everybody involved.
I agree.
Okay. And then secondly, if you don't start regularly, you know, visiting and getting to know the child, there's not going to be a real strong bond that develops. Do you understand that?
I understand what you're trying to say. Yes, sir.
Okay. So it appears to be the lab testing, the hair follicle, the visits, and you're regularly in contact. Well, you're having some issues with, I think, your phone. Is that correct?
Yes.
You have issues, and there's not real excellent internet or phone service out in some of the areas you work. Is that correct?
Yes, it's not that. It's that I got a new phone and it wouldn't. It doesn't have any internet on that phone, on the LifeWire
Okay.
phone. But I have another. I just bought my phone today.
Okay. And you understand that if your hair follicles come back clean, I mean nothing, that and your random UAs, that kind of starts not becoming an issue.
It was never an issue to begin with. I told them what initially that I had just started doing that drug a few months before this investigation.
Do you have any questions or is there anything you feel the judge needs to understand or know that might make her a little more aware of the circumstances and be able to help her?
Yes, sir. First, home visit, they gave me a list of what things that needed improvement. I went to the store, right after that. And since then, I've made adjustments in my home as far as having a little safety, like following the guidelines as far as fire extinguishers, smoke alarms, and then corner protectors that keep the people from hurting themselves on the corners. And worked a lot on this add-on that I've had. This is the room I'm in right now. It's already been painted. I just got to put the floor on. I'm not sure whether to put carpet or linoleum.
Okay.
And as
Anything
far as,
else?
I'm sorry?
Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else that you think the judge needs to know?
Yes, sir. Yes, as far as my visits, I did miss one that I wasn't going to go to because I was tired. And that was just on one of them. I didn't have an excuse. I woke up late. One of the reasons that I missed was that we were already there, but because I didn't have window wipers on my car, I had to keep pulling over. And I was like 5-10 minutes away from the building where we go visit. And we were called or said that it was canceled. So unfortunately, that happened. I could have called, but it was raining hard that day. And I've been to the past 2-3 visits, sometimes alone, sometimes with Mom. And Luciano is getting stronger on his legs. He pushes up on his legs now.
Okay.
Next thing you know,
Can you get a little bit closer? Get a little bit closer to the phone. Like, it's not
can you hear me?
Thanks.
better.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah, and this past visit, I had concerns. Everything was real good. His eye was looking a lot better than it's been before. And I had concerns because I noticed something on the back of his neck. Like a rash, but it wasn't a rash. It was some kind of, it was an injury, some sort. And I took pictures of it. I asked the person monitoring what they thought it was, and then I asked the caregiver, and they picked him up, that I noticed something, and he told me that the doctor knew about it, and that was it. But we're supposed to be aware. I thought we were supposed to be aware of things like this. When I asked Miss Taylor about it, she had no idea. I almost didn't see it until I was straight by and Mom was carrying him, and I see the back of his head, and that's when I noticed it. And I kind of got upset. Because I know kids have been taken away for a lot less from parents.
Well,
And I don't know what happened. I asked him.
do you understand that changing of baby soap or sometimes detergent or diet could cause a rash?
Yes, I know the difference between a rash and scratches, and fingernail scratches and belt whoops and lesions. I know the difference. It doesn't take a genius to know the difference. I do have pictures of. I was just worried. And I kind of got really upset. As you know, it's just an infant.
Okay. So would you agree with me? The quicker you get all of your services done, the quicker you have the opportunity to have your son potentially reunified with you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Anyone else have questions for Mr. Izagita?
I
Ms.
apologize.
Morales, and let me recognize Ms. Morales joined us a while ago, but I didn't formally recognize you for the record. So, and I'll give you a chance as well to ask any questions of Ms. Jones, but you do have questions for Mr. Izagita?
Just a couple, Your Honor.
Okay, go right ahead.
Mr. Izagirre, how much contact do you have with Ms. Calderon?
Frequent.
Frequent? Okay. Did I hear that correctly? You said frequent?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you all encourage one another to participate in your services?
Yes.
Do you feel like you each are a positive influence on one another in your support of completing services?
We both want the same thing.
Okay. And
Yes.
okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Anyone else?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Mr. Tiarena?
Mr. Izagirre.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Mr. Izagirre, you said you were concerned about a scratch. Were you ever able to verbalize that to the caseworker before yesterday?
Yes.
When did you see that?
I saw it on the day of the visit.
Which was?
Tuesday. This past Tuesday.
Okay.
And I texted her at the day, I figured that since they're trusted caregivers, that they would know amongst each other. They just maybe felt to call or take, because they tested me before as far as
Oh, you need to get closer to the phone. You're breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up considerably, Mr. Izagirre.
yes, sir. They're normally let us notify that something's wrong with them.
I can't hear you. No.
Can you hear me now?
Can you move
Closer.
a little bit closer? I don't need to see both of you. It would be better if you, while you're testifying, to have the phone or whatever device you're using just focused on you and have it a little bit closer. And then when Ms. Calderon, if we need to hear from her, we can share it. But yes, if you'll try it now, let's see if it's a little bit better.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Okay, so you missed a visit earlier today, though, didn't you?
Yes.
What was the reason?
I didn't call yesterday morning. I got sidetracked yesterday morning on my way to work, and I just forgot to call.
And are you at your house right now or her place or?
Sure, I'm at my place.
Okay, do y'all both have separate phones?
Yes.
So do y'all have to be in the same room together if you're not together?
No.
Okay, so, but you are not in a relationship with mom at this time?
No.
Okay. When was the last time, did y'all do a visit together with the baby or separately?
The last time was two weeks ago. Oh, that's
Okay.
last week. Last week we went.
Okay. I mean, have you noticed that he's gotten bigger and is developmentally doing well?
Yes. He's eating a lot more. We got to change him a few times, giving them some Pampers. And I didn't snap about it. I could have been giving him the Pampers this whole time. He kind of grew have some of the things that we had for him, that I had here, saved for him. And I've been giving him outfits and what I said, Pampers and some formula, but I didn't know the formula was a different formula that didn't upset his stomach at first, last month. He's, like I said, he's getting stronger. He jumps up. If you sit him down like on your thighs, he'll push himself up with his legs. So he is getting stronger. He smiles. He makes faces. Yeah, his eyes are like clearer. He had a lot of fluid, like fluid builds up. So kind of secretion in his eye. He's got medicine for that. Other than that, everything's good. I was wondering how his vacation went when he went out of town. Like if he was on a plane or if they drove. I was wondering whenever they did go.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I don't know what's going
Yeah,
on.
I don't know what it is, but it may be the tone of your voice, but I mean, Mr. Tiarina, are you hearing everything he's saying? I'm just hearing.
Right until that last sentence, Your Honor.
Okay.
Can you kind of speak up a little, sir?
I was just wondering how his trip was whenever they went out of state the last time. He's getting bigger, more hair.
And then that's a good segue to my next question. You mentioned that they've drawn hair from you at every UA, but would it surprise you that they've reported it's not in sufficient quantity to test, like the hair's not lengthwise long enough in more than one instance?
What's the length that it's got to be? I'm asking. About an inch?
I mean, we can definitely address that with CPS, but in the alternative, do you mind fingernail testing if your hair's not long enough?
I don't know how do they do that? Do they going to cut my fingernails?
Well, clip your fingernails where they grow, yeah. Like not beneath the line or anything, but is your job the reason you cut your hair? Or what's the reason you cut your hair very short?
I cut my hair, and I cut it the day of. I asked them if it's long enough, and they tell me yes, it's perfect. So it's not that. And I mean, that's the reason I didn't go this past time. I was kind of upset with CPS because of the scratch on the back of his head. So I didn't go. And I had been testing negative on my analysis since January. And like I said, I've been working on the house on top of working on my different jobs, 2 or 3 different jobs at this time.
Are you almost done with parenting or any of the classes they've asked you to do?
I believe so.
I have no further questions, Your Honor. Thank you. Pass the witness.
Anyone else have questions for Mr. Izagirre? If not, any other witnesses, Mr. George?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Morales, did you have questions for Ms. Jones? I'll let you ask any questions you may have. since you didn't have a chance earlier.
Yes, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Jones, if you'll just unmute yourself, thank you.
Ms. Jones, when was your last contact with Ms. Calderon?
I was texting her yesterday, trying to meet with her, and she stopped texting me.
Okay. Have you been able to communicate to her what is required to complete her family plan of service?
Yes,
And do you believe she understands what is required of her?
yes.
Okay. And about how far along on her family plan of service do you believe she is?
She's only attended 2 of her individual classes. She has attended quite a bit of her drug counseling. I want to say probably 10 sessions, but it is not consistent.
How many sessions are required for drug counseling?
The typical is 12 sessions, but it is based on the counselor's recommendation to see if the client is grasping the topics or to see if they're making any sort of progress.
So she's completed 10 out of 12. What is her counselor stating that is required? Where is she at as far as progress is concerned?
That she is not going to her classes regularly, that she still does not grasp the importance of cooperating on her drug testing, and she's really struggling with her drug use right now, and I believe there might be some mental health that might be going along with that as well. But I have not been able to fully speak with her regarding that. The last time that I was able to talk to her in person was February 9th, whenever I was driving her to a parent-child visit.
And you did discuss with her inpatient treatment, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I did give her the phone number to have the OSAR assessment completed.
And was that done?
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right.
Good.
Let me ask then, Ms. Morales, I think your client wishes to address the court, so I'll let you call her
Thank
as a
you.
witness.
And you heard the testimony that your caseworker gave with regard to you needing to participate in your services regularly. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And is that something that you intend on doing from this point forward?
Yes. I've over the time I've been speaking to other rehab and whatnot. I did it on my own, and some of them do work with child protective services, right? I wasn't clear on what I would use, the type of insurance that I would have in order for me to go into a rehab place. So that too had a lot to do with it, because I don't know how to medicate, or if I had Medicaid even at all. And I haven't been a hold of anybody, because my cousin that I was living with, he didn't state that he was no longer living at this house or they kicked him out. He didn't tell me none of that. And all I had been doing was working for this lady that has a bunch of rent houses. And I try on my part. I get a little discouraged because I feel like I'm not good enough, or I'm not suitable enough sometimes. But then I don't have a mental issue, and they already had suggested me to go to a mental facility, and I shared the inner self of me, and I trusted them with that
Ms. Calderon,
information.
can I interrupt you for a moment? You understand there is nothing wrong with having a mental health issue. You understand that, correct?
Yes, but I believe that
Let me interrupt you. And that probably maybe a third, if not half of the people on the screen that you see on Zoom have had mental health issues at some point in their lives. That's perfectly normal. You understand that?
I believe that I had. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Okay. So if the department is wanting you to complete evaluations, you understand it's for your benefit and the benefit of your child, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And just as much as if you are ill and you have an infection and you need an antibiotic, it's important for you to take that antibiotic. You understand that? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And so if there is depression or anxiety, or if there is anything that you need medication for and a doctor prescribes it, it's important that you take that medication. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the drug classes work in the same way as well. You understand that it's important that you attend these drug classes and counseling sessions regularly in order for you to benefit from them. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do. But ma'am, I would my phone would either get stolen, or the place that I live at, it wasn't, you know, where I went from Jones Street to another place, right? And there they still, I mean, in my circumstance, it's not good place, you know. And like my phone is cracked, and I can't even make a phone call or anything like that, or except I have to press the screen a lot of times in order for me to get a phone call in, you know.
Let me
And,
ask something, Ms. Calderon. Let me interrupt you. The department is aware that you're having issues with your phone. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay. And I don't know if this is something the department can do, but have you considered asking the department if there are any programs available, if they're aware of any programs available where you can get assistance with your phone?
no, it seems like it's too much of a burden, you know.
Okay. Let me make something clear to you. The department is here to protect families, and you are part of a family. Your son and you and your son's father are a family. So if you need assistance during the life of this case, you understand that you need to turn to your caseworker for assistance. Do you understand that?
I wasn't aware.
Okay, well, you know now. Are you aware of that now?
Yes, Miss Ma'am, I am.
Okay. And you are not a burden, and your child is not a burden. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
This court has ordered a family service plan for you to help you reunify with your child. And part of that family service plan includes the counseling, includes the parenting, includes a list of things that we've gone over, as well as your caseworker. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in order to be reunified with your child, you need to complete and comply with your family plan of service. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you've got a caseworker, you have an attorney, and you have a CASA, and you are not a burden to either one of us. So if you need assistance, please reach out to one of us or all of us. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am. But it's just like you just didn't understand. Like I called and I talked to Fierro, and I thought she was a good person. So I let out the inner of me, because after I had my son, it became kind of like emotionally, like my emotions, boom, you know. So I told her the truest, and I gave her everything, you know, of my thought and whatnot. And but now I have a mental problem. Like I know inside me, I know that I do not have a mental problem. No, yes, it is. No, they wanted to send me to a mental facility. I looked
Okay.
it up.
Ms. Calderon, you and I can speak more specifically about that, but I suspect, and I believe that the department is going to tell you as well, their concern for you is complying with your family plan of service. Do you understand that? Drug testing regularly, attending your services regularly, participating in them regularly. Okay.
Yes.
You
I
understand that?
also understand that I have constitutional rights.
Right. And so are you willing to move forward and to continue to participate with your family plan of service?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any questions about that family plan of service today?
Yes, I don't know how to get a phone. I mean, I was living on the streets right now, and
Okay.
it's kind of hard.
Okay. I understand that. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Does anyone else have questions for Ms. Calderon?
Just a couple, if I may, Judge.
All right, Mr. Tiarena.
So as for your visitations with your son, how many have you successfully gone to versus how many have you not been able to get to?
Like 3, I haven't been able to get to. I haven't gone.
Is it a transportation thing or something else?
It's a transportation thing. So, you know, I don't really communicate with Ronaldo too much, and to get a ride to Corpus or a CPS lady. I'm kind of, you know, you have to understand from my point of view, I feel like everybody's my enemy because of what's been going on, you know. So I get discouraged. But I mean, the only thing that's going to keep me motivated is my kid.
And if you're asked to drug test, you will either make arrangements for someone to pick you up or CPS.
I will if I have.
Okay. And on your services, as far as counseling, is there anything like you need to initiate or haven't initiated yet? Like, have you done individual, family, anything like that, counseling?
Only the fact that we have to call one counselor in order for us to get an appointment by another, and it's like it seems like it's all in the ball of who's working with who, or and that's why I feel like, you know, like the odds are against me, and I give up, and I do get discouraged. But I know I had to keep on for my kid, you know. But I am aware now that I need services.
Okay, so you're aware of what your family plan is and things you need to initiate, you can get with your attorney and Ms. Jones?
Yes.
No further questions.
I've already been, also, I've already been to, Charlie's place for, the federal, the parole sent me there before, and, I talked to the lady that works there, and I thought that they worked with the CPS, but I didn't know I had to leave them where, so I would probably have to go for like a relapse thing there at the Charlie's place, but I mean, I'm not sure.
I guess one last
Okay.
question. If CPS can make such arrangements through OSAR or whatever it means, were you willing to do an inpatient treatment?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions from you, Judge.
Right. Okay, anyone else? If not, any other witnesses this afternoon from any party?
Department rest, Your Honor.
Judge, I had wanted to recall Ms. Jones for like 2 quick questions that were brought up as a result of the.
All right, Ms. Jones was sworn earlier. You remain under oath. Mr. Tiarina, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Briefly, Ms. Jones, so can you clarify first what exactly the hair issue is and why the hair is not long enough, or what length it has to be for the department to even maybe be asking for the fingernail testing as an alternative? Like, how many times has this been an issue and why?
So I'm not sure on the length that the hair has to be. It's just that each month that I've sent him from December all the way until this month, it always comes back rejected, and it's I'm saying that the hair is too short. So that is probably from him going to go do the hair follicle and then cutting his hair that same day. I mean, that's probably not going to help have the hair be long enough to get tested.
And so, are you able to give an explanation or I guess how many visits each parent has gone to respectively versus not gone to? And
So I believe they have had a total of 16 visits scheduled for both, and mom has only made it to 6 visits and dad has only made it to 8 visits. And during that time span, they have gone a total of 5 to 6 weeks in between visits.
Okay, but they had it went out of state at one point. And
Miss Calderon, can you just not interject so that we can hear her testimony?
And then my last question was, there's been some reference to a scratch. When did you find out about the scratch from dad? When was that brought to you?
So dad sent me a voice message just bringing up a scratch on Friday evening. And then I met with him yesterday, and he showed me pictures of a red mark and a scratch. So he did not tell me that day of the visit that there was a red mark and scratches there. So he claims that that's the reason for him not going to drug test that day, was because he was mad at the department, but he did not let me know what was going on. So I had no clue until yesterday around 5 o'clock.
Oh, and I guess one last thought is, did either of them give a specific reason to miss earlier visit today?
Dad did not confirm. Mom confirmed, and she, I guess, had a ride with dad, but since dad didn't confirm, there was some confusion there. And they were texting me like at 7:30 this morning as trying to figure out a ride, and dad, I'm still taking mom to the visit. So that was a confusion there.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right. What action have you taken in response to this information about the scratch, Ms. Jones?
So I did reach out to the caregivers yesterday around, I believe it was around 6. They had sent a picture of his head part that had no more redness, no more scratches, and I believe they did take him to the doctor this morning to get actual paper proof, and the doctor put it down as a stork bite. To do for his redness, and possibly the scratches could have been from his bib, like rubbing or the car seat or something. So they did not consider it concerning.
All right, so you have followed up and tried to address their concerns.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, let me ask then, in the interest of time, because I have 2 more hearings set on the docket this afternoon, can I just progress to hear from Ms. Showalter? Thank you for your report. Can I get you to unmute yourself and add your thoughts to the discussion that we've had so far in this hearing? Just get you to unmute yourself.
Judge,
hello.
I will just say that just very briefly, I would like to say, first of all, I'd like to tell Ms. Morales, if she feels that I'm part of the 50% that may have mental health issues here, that really bothered me. I mean, it does. I am not. Well, anyway, that's over and done. The other thing is, I've heard so much discussion going on. What I put in my report, I stand by. I have heard so much going on that disproves or is trying to disprove from both mom and dad about what Ms. Jones is saying, about what I'm saying. One minute it's this way, another time it's that way. And I'm sorry, there's just too much going on, and I just stand by my report and what Ms. Jones and everybody else has been listening to.
All right. Well then, thank you, Michelle Welcher. Mr. Tiarina, do you have a report you'd like to make or an assessment to share at this time?
My assessment is he really wears that tuxedo well, and we got to see it again because the mom didn't get to see. Hopefully, and with this scratch stroke, whatever they said, being raised, I'm glad it was looked into promptly. But other than that, I would ask status quo, and hopefully visitations will improve with time. If we're hearing like 1/2 and then the other 2/3 missed, I want to see both engage more consistently. And other than that, Judge, I mean, he's doing well. He's growing from a little incubator to where he's at now, and long may that continue.
Yes. Okay.
Well, thank you, Mr. Tiarina. He is just precious. And that outfit is just even more precious. So thank you so much for sharing. All right. Does anyone else need to address the court at this time? If not, based on the testimony the court has heard today, the court is going to find that Luciano's current placement is meeting his needs in all aspects, and that continuation of that placement is in his best interest. In addition, the court is going to find that at this point in time, Ms. Calderon is not in compliance with her plan of service, and Mr. Izaguirre is in partial compliance. The court at this time therefore finds it would be a continuing danger to Luciano if he were to be returned to his parents' care today. And it is this court's hope that we can address those areas of ongoing concern with the services that have been ordered. I want to say this. At this point in time, this court at our initial hearing made orders, and those orders were for both parents to engage in services, and they're not requests, they're orders. And the orders themselves are what helps this court. Like, if those ordered services, if you engage and complete them, are what allow the department and this court to assess your ability to parent Luciano full time. And it's part of a process that allows us to consider and work towards reunification. And when you fail to engage in those services completely and fully, you prevent this court from having the confidence in your ability to care for Luciano and to provide a safe and appropriate home for him. So the issue, if you want to debate about whether or not the court should be involved, I've reviewed the affidavit for removal and the issues that caused Luciano to be in the hospital and to be in this court. I have no issues about this court's ruling. I believe wholeheartedly that this court needs to be involved, and that there was conduct on your part in particular, Ms. Calderon, that resulted in harm to your child's health and well-being. And we are trying to all collectively deal with that at this point. And so you have rights, and we're trying to protect them as part of this process by giving you services and trying to help you. You do have rights to get assistance, but you're not taking advantage of that. And you can't. And so
I wasn't aware, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Okay. And that's why I'm taking the time to explain this to you one more time. And I hope that it really, it helps you understand that this is a process that is designed to protect your rights and to get you assistance. But if you don't take advantage of it, your rights are potentially at stake because you haven't done what you need to do to show your ability to meet your child's needs. And right now we haven't made much progress. So at this point in time, we've got a lot of work to do. And I've heard you say that you're willing to go to inpatient treatment. I think that that's absolutely the best thing you could possibly do. And I'm ordering you to submit to an OSAR evaluation immediately. That's an evaluation where you go and you talk about your substance use, and no one's judging you for it because we know that's why we're here. That's why we know that Luciano was in the hospital. It's not something we don't already know and understand. We just need to get you the help to deal with that. And so you need to go to that assessment. You need to tell that person that ongoing substance abuse is an issue and that you want to go to inpatient treatment. And then you don't have to worry about Medicaid or insurance because they will help you get into a treatment program that is paid for by the state. Okay. So you have to do that. That's the way you go about it. And that's the process that we need you to utilize to get help. And then in addition, you've got the additional services of submitting to drug tests when requested, because we know that drugs are an issue. We need to know you're not using them. Or if you are, how much?
Actually, positive, ma'am. Positive at one point and negative, and I have been withholding. And then the emotions that I have now, I can feel, So now, that's just been the issue.
Well, that's what needs to be addressed with services. And I'm hearing why. I'm hearing, what's preventing you from fully engaging. And you've got to deal with that to get engaged in the services. If transportation is an issue, you need to let Ms. Jones know. And I'm ordering the department to assist with transportation, but you have to provide them adequate notice. So let them know that you need to get to drug tests or to services or to your parent-child visits. That's something you have to, as a parent, you have to make the arrangements and plan and prepare and then attend. Because that's the kind of thing you do as a parent. You plan, you prepare, and you attend. Doctor's appointments, all kinds of things. So if you can't do that for yourself, how are you going to do it for Luciano? Okay? Those are the kind of things and skills that we're evaluating in this process. So you have time, but if you don't start now, you're going to run out of it. And I just want to make it clear that that's what I'm seeing after hearing the testimony today. In the meantime, look at how well he's doing. He's in a great place. And I just want to thank the foster parents so much for the care that you're providing and the excellent fashion sense that you have for him as well. He's very lucky little guy to be in your care. And we're very fortunate to have him doing so well and making such progress from where he started, because it was touch and go at the beginning. So at this time, we're going to come back for another hearing to assess how we're doing. But I've lost it on my screen for some reason. Like the whole case is gone. Can you just tell me when the next hearing is?
And before we go, Judge, I'm just going to ask, can we possibly do that fingernail testing if this is a continued?
Yes, I am going to order both parents submit to a fingernail test at this time. And I think that, and I'm ordering regular fingernail tests. I don't want there to be ongoing issues with the hair. It's preventing us from getting assessments for Mr. Izagire. And so I'm ordering the regular UAs to continue, the hair test to continue when there's long enough hair to do it, and continuous hair nail tests and as well. So we shouldn't have any excuses if we're going to have all three of those options throughout the case, and it is this court's order that be regularly utilized, all three methods. Yes, and we can come back on June 6th at 1:30 to assess where we are. Okay, so we'll move that date. The date on June 13th is vacated, and we'll come back on June 6th at 1:30 instead. Is it the preference of the parties to continue via Zoom for that hearing as well?
Yes,
The
sir.
department so requests, Your Honor.
We would join.
All right, well then that hearing will be via Zoom pursuant to the agreement of the parties, which this court is recording on the record as well. So thank you all.